Please join me in welcome the dynamic founder of SID Farm, Mr. Kishore Indukuri, a visionary in the world of entrepreneurship. His journey from a small dairy farm to leading D2C plays in the premium milk space is nothing short of inspirational. Today he is here share his insight on the entrepreneurship and innovation. Let's give a warm welcome to Kishore Indukuri.
So how many of you have heard of SID Farm? Any hands? One. Okay. So ours probably is a little easier to understand, because we sell milk, right? As simple as that. And so I'll talk a little bit about what I've done before. I know in the last session Ravi was talking about his journey essentially. So I'll talk a little bit about my journey as well. So I come from a middle class background, right? Family was never into business. My father was an engineer. I started out as an engineer as well. Not even remotely connected to business. I'm telling this so if some of you are feeling overwhelmed to do a startup, you can start anywhere, anytime. I got into IIT in my second attempt, right? I did not get it in my first attempt, worked hard, got it in my second attempt, studied at IIT Kharagpur, for which I think this year I got the Young Alumnus Award. So I think I got lucky to get that award. Went to Kharagpur, didn't really study hard there, I think once I graduated, I realized maybe thoda pad lena chahiye, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to skip all the nonsense, go to the US, study hard. That's what I did. I got a master's as well as a PhD in polymer science and engineering. After that, worked for Intel for about 6 years. So I was in manufacturing. No, I'm not from an IT background. Worked there for 6 years. But all along in my 6 years, right, I felt something was missing, right? Somehow there's a strong personality mismatch, right, into doing a regular job, right? So I think 3 years into my work, I went to one island, a remote island in Seattle, did a wind turbine workshop. So this workshop, was all about, building a wind turbine from scratch, right? So spent a week there, learned a little bit. Then another week I took a break again, and this time I did a solar energy installation on a home in Arizona. See, what was I doing? I was trying to explore what I liked, right? Somehow I was not getting that kick that I wanted, right? Then, first 3 years I was doing, one kind of work at Intel. Last 3 years, I moved into a different role. That job was exciting, right? The job, I think, really helped understand a little bit more about myself, right? So, this job was like this. Intel was building a $250 million facility, and there was a small 25 people team that was, part of this project. So wake up at 7 in the morning, right? Be there by 7:30, and things would go on till late evening, late night, right? But that was the most exciting part of work for me, right? And I think 3 years into that, I got to travel a little bit. I realized that, maybe this is the time to try something on my own. I had a little bit of savings. As I said, again, I'll reemphasize, no business background. So I made a lot of mistakes. So I came back, we came back to India. By that time, we had a son, we had a house in the US. So decided, TK, we will move back. We sold off our house and, started, picked 2 areas, one education and the second one was agriculture as something that I wanted to try. Both of the things, agriculture, something was always close to my heart. And started with growing vegetables, right? And I think, I don't know if Srinivas Reddy Garu is here. I mean, at least 5-6 years ago when I connected with him, he was the HOD of mechanical engineering here. He's still here. So another thing that I did was, am I too loud? Am I holding it too close? That's okay. Another thing that I tried to do was education. Education was something that was very close to my heart. So started by doing practical engineering college, practical education in engineering colleges. That was another thing that I wanted to try. And name of my company, is SID's Farm. And our elder son's name is Siddharth, right? So one of the things that we looked at, right, we were looking for good food for our son. At that time he had, a lot of allergies. So we were always looking for good food for him. And we thought, we've looked for, milk again. Where can we get to good milk, right? In the US, you had a lot of options available. In India, we felt like there were not as many options available, right? So we started with that problem statement, right? So, I mean, as you're starting your own enterprises, or if you're thinking of starting your own enterprises, the first thing that is the most important thing is a problem statement. We researched a little bit, right? I mean, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India was doing several surveys. In one of the surveys, some of the data that they compiled, so some of the testing, the data showed that milk is not there at where it needs to be, right, in summary. Right, you occasionally hear about adulteration in milk and food, always reported somewhere or the other. So we said, let's be part of this problem, right? Let us take this problem and offer a solution, right? And that is a clear problem. So we named it SID's Farm. Siddharth is the name of our elder son. We named it SID's Farm because it was a promise from a parent to a son saying we'll produce the best possible milk, and that is what we deliver to everybody around us. That is a clear value statement. This is the value. See, today we started with few people, right? Initially it was just me, then probably about 10 people we started the farm. Today we are close to 450 people, right? Right? But each and every one of our people, this is the value, right? Good milk is what we do. If we cannot do that, we'll go out of business. We'll not do this business, but only good milk is what we do. It is a clear thing that is percolated across the entire organization, right? So as I said, I talked about the problem statement. Initially, when you start, right, when you pick a problem and try to solve it, you'll have one solution that you picked out from various sources, right? So our first solution was, okay, we'll start a dairy farm. Okay. And we started the dairy farm not too far from here, right? About actually a few kilometers from here is where we started our first farm. 20 cows, no background, right? I didn't have any background. I didn't know how to select a cow, right? I was once, talking to a doctor, I was asking him, how do I pick a cow, right? He said, Annam chusi konandi annar. Annam etla chusta naakaithe teliyadu at least. But yeah, I took a book, read through it. He said 6 or 7 points. Ee chudandi, ee chuste avanu select chesam. We picked our cows, started our farm here, and start chesam farm. We started our farm, started producing milk. Our cost of production was anywhere from 25 to 30 rupees a liter. Producing 1 liter of milk those days, about 7 to 8 years before, right? 13 to 15, 26 to 30 rupees was the cost of production. When we went to sell it in the market, all we were getting paid was 13 to 15 rupees a liter. Not even half of what it was costing to produce. Then we realized that, the only way to survive is to sell it direct. Now DTC is a very popular word, right? But back then we did it because we had to survive, right? So let's take it direct to customer and sell it. So every Saturday, Sunday, we got a nice flyer printed. We say we do pure milk. We started distributing some of these flyers. Every Saturday, Sunday, I would sit in an apartment complex, explain about our milk, have people try a little bit of our milk and started to sell it. And And to my surprise, people started accepting it. So we started with 20 liters of milk, went to 100 liters, then 300. So that is how, the customer acceptance was there, right? So we felt like the demand. See, I think Ravi was talking about proof of concept, right? Proof of concept happened to us, right? And at this stage, as I told you, I was trying to do two things, right? One, I was trying to do something in education, and the second, I was trying to do something in, in agriculture, dairy. So I would take classes. As I was taking classes, I would get a call from a customer saying that Eros pal raledu, re palastara. I would get phone calls. See, I answered all the calls. For the first 4 years of the business, I took every call that the business got, right? So pal gavali, pal oddu. Every call from 6 to 10 in the morning, we would get phone calls. 6 to 10 at night, we would get phone calls. So then decided you can only do one business properly. Right? So stopped whatever, even though I loved education, I felt like, you can only do one thing right. I stopped stimulus that I was doing and just started doing a lot more of SIDS farm. See, as I said, the solution was that we were offering was a dairy farm, produce good milk, and deliver it to our customers, right? And we started to scale. One time, we were doing this. We had a professor from Germany who came and visited our farm. He was one of our customers. He visited us. He told us, Kishore, he then became a professor at IIM Ahmedabad. So he asked me to come give a talk on value chain management, right? And how we look at it at SIDS farm. How many of you know the word value chain? So then we started writing what is it. See, what were we doing? We were producing milk. We were producing our own milk. Then, I'll tell one more story. I skipped a story. Then we were packing it. We were just hand packing the milk. We were processing and packaging it. Then we were also doing home delivery. When you do home delivery, you also have to attend calls, right? Because if the packet does not get delivered, if a cat has drank from your packet, all of that you still have to address, right? So we were doing all these three things, right? Take a look at any other dairy. They actually only do one or two of them. We were doing all these three things separately. I'll tell a little bit about a story, so it is a little bit more interesting. It is a little bit more exciting, for you guys. So I remember dairy farm. A lot of people told me, dairy, don't get into dairy farm. It is one of the toughest fields to do. I didn't listen. I got into it anyways. I thought, kar lenge. I know how to fight. I'll fight. But only when I got into it, I realized, what a fight it was, right? 4 to 5 in the morning, we used to wake up, okay? 5 to 5:30, hand packet milk. 5:30 to 6:30, home deliver it. No chance for error. And in the initial days, we used to sell raw milk. Morning milk, we used to sell in the morning. Evening milk, we used to sell in the evening. So 365 days into 730 days, we used to deliver milk. Lot of accidents, whatnot, right? Lot of nonsense also happens, right? These are all learning things. So as our milk started to grow, 4 became 330, 330 became 3, 3 became 230. At one point, we were waking up at 1:15 in the morning just to make sure customer gets their milk at 6:30. Doesn't matter how great milk you produce, if the milk doesn't reach a customer by 6:30 in the morning, it is no good, right? Because the end thing, you have to deliver to a customer by 6:30. So, right, all along, right, we were maintaining our values really, really strongly. So whenever we needed help, right, we went back to our customers, right? And one of the first things we did, we were selling raw milk. We realized that if you continue to wake up at 1:15 in the morning every day and do it for year on year, both our animals as well as our people will die, right? At that point, we realized, let's start chilling milk. Let's understand a little bit about processing. That is when we invested in a small chilling facility, right, for our milk. I never banked with a banker, so understood a little bit. I was in Narkuda, there is a syndicate bank right here. One day I met the bank manager I was casually chatting with him. He told me, Kishore, I can offer you a bank loan, right? And that is when, that took almost a year for us. And we bought our own piece of land in Shahabad, about 30 kilometers from here, and started putting up a processing facility. So I'll come back to value chain, production of raw milk, then process and package it, then, home deliver it, right? All these three things. So, as we started to understand our value chain, right, we felt like, are we really good at production of raw milk? And when we started to write this question, right, we felt like, the farmers all around us were actually producing milk a lot more efficiently than we are able to, right? But trust is a problem. How do I know that milk is good? Mem chestunnanta varaku, we know it is good milk, right? We will make sure that not a single drop of milk, single drop of water gets into our milk, right? Water is also, concern for people, right? So, wherever our produces, how do you know that is great milk? So that is when we started to understand that testing is important. See, we always used to get this question from customers. Kishore, nuvaithe farm lo eppudu undavu kada 24 hours. No, how can you guarantee me that evaro neelu galapaledani etla? I'll give a small joke, right? One day we got invited to Chirek. We were talking to students there. I asked them this question, right? See, initially we had a lot of hurdles, right? For example, sometimes one day cow gave less milk, but we had a commitment to our customers, right? We had to sell so many liters of milk. What would you do? I asked the students. One of the kids, raised his hand. We never ever did that, right? It never occurred to us also to ever add a drop of water, right? We actually came back to the farm, milked our cow a third time. Probably bichare usko taklif diya, but we milked a cow a third time, got that 1 or 2 liters of milk, and I went back in my car and home delivered again to our customer. But we never ever, did that, right? I've never ever had a drop. So we realized that testing was very, very important. And me, I have, a lot of people asked me, right, you're too padalika, you're doing all this, right? What value are you adding? This is a question I always had. A lot of people, including my parents, you did all this, you studied that, what are you doing? See, education is about, can you problem solve? Can you take any problem and solve it, right? And that is where I think as a company, we figured out solutions to the problems that we needed to solve. And today at SID's farm, we do 6,000 tests every day on our milk, right? A lot of people say 6,000 tests, is it even possible? But that is what we do, right? Every 40-liter can of milk that goes through our facility gets tested. We test for urea, sugar, salt, any starch that can get into milk, preservatives like hydrogen peroxide, caustic soda, baking soda, formalin. We look for 5 different classes of antibiotics, steroids, hormones, anything that can get into milk externally, we test for it. Anything that could get into the future, we are already researching it. Why? Because we are paranoid about milk quality, and that is the solution that we said we'll offer to our customers. Our milk packets say no antibiotics, no hormones, and no preservatives, and we deliver that every day. How do I get the confidence to stand here and say that my milk is good? Because we test it. We put that depth into the problem that we are trying to solve, right? And that is the solution statement that we've offered, right? We have a model dairy farm about 25 kilometers from here. You can come visit that farm anytime. See, how do customers trust us? Our milk is 30% more expensive than regular milk. Still, customers are paying for our milk. Why? About 40,000 customers today buy our milk in the city of Hyderabad. Why do they buy it? Because it is not about money. Please remember, a lot of people say, okay, your milk is 120 rupees. Why? Right? The value, it is not about money. It is not about that MRP or 120 rupees. It is about whether are you giving that value to them or not. If you are convinced that you are giving your customer that value, people will pay for it. And the value that we are giving is you don't have to worry about the milk that you drink. Right? For 1,000 rupees more, that is what, if you calculate, if you do the math, right? If you're paying 30 rupees more for our milk, right, into 30 days, it is about 1,000 rupees more. For 1,000 rupees more, which is cost of a meal outside, if you go to a restaurant, it will probably cost you 2,000 rupees. For 1,000 rupees more, your kid can have one product which you don't have to worry about. And that is a clear value prop that we give to our customer. Please remember value, right? When you build your own enterprise, are you giving that value to your end consumer or not? Right? And in our solution statement, the solution statement that we offer to our customers, a model dairy farm where we research, right? We work with close to 1,500 farmers that produce our milk for us, but every 40-liter can of milk gets tested. Right? And every Saturday, since the inception, right, we've been doing this a lot more aggressively now. Every Saturday, farmers can walk into our farm from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. They can see exactly how to milk a cow, right? Walk into the lab, see exactly all the tests that we do, then walk into our processing facility, get an idea of what happens in a milk processing facility, go through our grass growing operations just to get a feel. Kids go on a tractor ride. We give them the entire thing end to end to build this trust with our end consumer.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.